Já foi com o olho a marejar, é a ilha que leva, mas nunca levou. Saudade é dourada a corda.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Saudade Generation Tuga. We are on episode 9 today, and I'm really honored and glad to have on a friend, a man of our culture, gajo dos nossos, como diz, Paul Soares. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. It's a great pleasure to be here and, talking with you and stuff like that. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I appreciate those words. We've known each other since a good decades. We can say decades, so we don't tell our age too much.
No. Let's not say how old we are.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen each other since we were kids, going up in the downstairs every time we go to Toronto. And you've been involved in our culture since you're a kid. But how was it for Paul Soares growing up Portuguese or growing up Xerense, actually?
I mean, it was, I was born in Saudade, right? I came here when I was 8 years old. So obviously, aquela cultura foi, instalada na gente, right? So
you were born in which freguesia there?
I was born in Saudade, but, people usually pick on me because I say I'm from Ribeirinha.
That's right.
Which my mom is from Ribeirinha, and I sempre puxei mais pro lado da Ribeirinha than the Saudade, right? Because all my uncles and aunts from Ribeirinha all did dances or played instruments and sang and stuff like that. So eu puxei mais para aquele lado. So eu digo que sou da Ribeirinha, o meu irmão diz que é da Saudade. So
yeah, he's a bit older. So he lived a bit older when you guys came to Canada.
That's right. Yeah, he was 14, right? And I was 8. So, but the cultura, was everything, right? It was the festas, was the Espírito Santo, was the both lights, Saudade. So, my dad was a guy that really loved all that stuff. So obviously, as a little boy, and I'd follow my dad everywhere, right? Right?
That's right.
So, and then you grow older, and I fell in love with our culture, right? Carnaval, dances, touradas, right? Toads. So
you didn't get that cultural shock of coming over to Canada because you were a bit young, right?
Yeah, no, right? I was young, not to have that cultural shock, right? But I don't know how to describe it, but no shock. I was too young, right? So
yeah. Because you come over, you start going to school, and then the integration is much easier.
Yeah. It was much easier for me than it was for my brother. Definitely.
Oh yes, exactly.
Right?
Good example.
In no time, I picked it all up. 8 years old, right? You're still a little kid, right? Everything just fell in. So it was fast. And I remember my brother had a harder time, right? Fitting in and picking up the language and stuff like that because he was 14 almost, right?
Full-blown teenager.
Yeah, right. So it's a big difference, right?
Oh yeah.
I think he was going to grade 8, or he went to grade 8, and I went to grade 4, right? So it's still a kid, right?
Yeah. It's still easier for you to pick up things than he's already made. Well, most of of who he is already formed. Well, you're still forming it.
That's right, right? It just, it era mais maldoso que os outros, though, right? Coming from State at 8 years old, I felt like I was, stronger and so I wasn't afraid, right? I wouldn't let anybody pick on me or make fun of me, which is normal when kids transition from another country.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yep.
So to me, I fit in right away, I guess, because, I wasn't afraid, and I was, I enjoyed fighting at that time too and stuff like that, sticking up for myself, even sticking up for my brother at times. Right. So, I gained the respect of all those little kids, I guess, at that age. Right. And I fit in.
And was there a lot of Portuguese kids at your school? Or?
Yeah. I believe 99% were all Portuguese, right?
Oh, okay.
I went to St. Anthony's, which is, I think, everybody was Portuguese, right?
So then your friends. That's what I was about to ask. So I guess right away your friends you made at school were Portuguese.
Yeah, but it's still different, right? Like they didn't really speak the language. I had I think one or two kids there that I remember, like a guy Fabian. I think he spoke perfect Portuguese and stuff like that. So I remember in the beginning, like he was kind of helping me or guiding me and stuff like that. But like I said, I picked it up really quick, right?
And culturally wise, go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't want to be made fun of, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, of course. Who wants to be made fun of?
Coming here, so I made sure I fit in right away and picked up the language super quick, right?
Yeah, you create that shell and that defense mechanism.
That's right. Automatic.
Yeah, I won't be stepped on. I won't be made fun of.
Plus, I've always said, you're coming from Saudade, we're little men already, right?
Yeah.
I usually tell people I used to go with my dad into Paparedes and that corridors and go feed the pigs and my dad already had a little enxada for me and my brother. We used to shove out to the vineyard and stuff like that. So we were little men already, right?
Yeah. Hey, and they don't call Saudade Terra dos Bravos for nothing, eh?
For no reason, man. No reason. Man.
And culturally speaking, like coming to well, obviously 8 years old, you're old enough to have seen all these things already in Terceira.
Yeah.
But how was it that transition into when you got to Canada, culturally speaking?
I mean, obviously we came here and my dad right away, I think my aunt and her husband used to do the sopish for Irmandad and stuff like that. So right away, my dad, with the culture helping out and at the clubs there, when they did the festas there at Overcourt Park and stuff like that, my dad would be helping with all my uncles. So, that meant us going and watch or, at that time playing around with other little kids. But obviously, my dad would always bring us along, right? So you kind of see that. And, every time there was carnival, he'd go watch. So that means, we'd have to go watch. And at that time, obviously, playing around. But I remember, when I was 12, 13, I was I think that's pretty cool. Some of my buddies were doing it already, 12, 13, 14. And I was my dad was not the one, eu sempre dizia, dança abaixo do nome, right? And he wasn't ele não queria que a gente fosse nas danças, right? He loved watching. He's a big fan. Sempre dizia aquilo and understood as a kid, right? He's no, dança abaixo do nome, right? And then I think I was 16. And Manuel Barcelos was doing a dance, and I think one of the members, one of the Saudades, I think the grandfather or the grandmother passed, and at that time, Carlos Conte, Buff, that's he was in the dance, and his mother and my mother are really good friends, and she called, and my mom was "Oh, they show pequeni," to my dad, and I was so excited, I wanted to do it, and. My mom's my dad's oh no, she finally convinced them, and I went, and that was it, man. I've never stopped.
That's all it took. It didn't take much.
That's all it took, man. I never stopped, right? And then I get to experience that year we end up going to the States, to Boston to perform, and then the following year, it was 97. 97 we go to Boston. And then 98, we go to Saudade with the dance. So my first 3 years of being in Carnival was 2 great trips, right? And you did,
time, and you were dançarine?
I was a dançarine, yeah. I was a dançarine, right? So but a lot of guys and girls were already I knew them from high school and stuff like that. So easy transition for me to get in there to Vitória's Tuba at the time. And then man, I fell in love with it. Fell in love with it.
That I can only imagine. I've done with at that age, 14, 15. I've done trips to Toronto, to the Boston area, to Ottawa. But I can only imagine doing with a bunch of friends of my same age, going to Saudade at that age. Man, how was that experience?
That was amazing. I've always said it.
Yeah. So you were saying about your trip to Saudade with a bunch of teenagers together. How was that?
Yeah. So 98, vamos para Terceira, right? Manuel Barcelos faz mudança de espada, Vitória's Tuba.
Oh, it was a dança de espada.
Mudança de espada, right? So my first dances were dança de espada, right? And I think that's why I tend to go pushing, right? But dança de espada.
Yeah.
Oh, depois a gente fala mais dessa espada. But yeah, 98, great group of people, right? Like, me, Jose Maria, Lily, Leslie, man, like a bunch of people, a bunch of like people that are still in Carnival, right? Nelson, man, Marco, like a lot of guys and girls that are still in dances. It was just a highlight. And man, we got along great with everyone. I remember like no arguments, because I remember people like, oh, there's always arguments, when people try to do this stuff. And man, everybody got along great. We're so proud, right? Like, okay, guys, you see with Paul, like we're 100%. Like, we didn't want to make a mistake. We didn't want to look bad. We were proud, right? Like a bunch, we're representing Canada, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
But I remember like, we talked to each other, like at Timbuktu, guys, like we'll go drink after, we're done performing, or 4 or 5 dances a day, whatever we did or whatever Manny planned out for that day. And we knew we were going to go party hard after that. Right. So it was awesome, man. It was like a highlight. And I've always said it like, you can never repeat that. Right. Even though, a lot of dances have gone, right. But it's always different. Right.
Always.
It was just for me, it's been a highlight of my Carnival career. Right. So.
And we now have the luxury of watching Carnival on YouTube and Usdrets and everything.
Yeah.
But how was Carnival in the 90s in Terceira?
Man, to me it was amazing. I was 18 years old, man.
Did you do it still was 5, 6. I heard you say 5, 6 by
yeah.
We still did like 20 atuações.
Yeah, we did 20 atuações still. It started off with all the dançarinos freguesias and the atores, right? Like in Brazil, his wife was in it. Zinch, I think Bernice, obviously foi sempre okay. Vamos fazer as freguesias dos elementos todos.
Yes.
And then after that, we did. I think we did 20. We did 20.
So you remember coming home early in the morning, late.
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't go home, man. We wouldn't go home.
At that age, yeah.
I think we were going. Twins was our second home.
Era direto,
Era diretas. I think a gente, we're looking forward to a gente já sabia, okay, a gente faz esses 4 trabalhos ou 5, and twins, here we come, right? And it was like, mas era quase a dança inteira.
That gets a group so close together. It's like crazy. You guys must have a crazy.
It was insane. Like and I think that's why we had such a blast, and we never messed up, or nobody got drunk, and some people we go to stadium, party. Like a gente tinha aquele orgulho, and I think a gente said, okay, guys, we do these 4 or 5 shows and we go party hard. And I'm telling you, for quase todas as noites, like twins, and then we go home, sleep during the day, and okay, let's go at it again at 6 p.m. Right?
Let's go. Tem sempre força tão para sair.
Right, toda aquela idade, right? 18 years old I was.
And 18 you were?
Yeah,
18. Wow. And then coming back, and then at this point you started taking more responsibility in the dance, being master in the following dances that you
did. So in 98, whatever, the older people, Senhor Francisco Moro, that já não está cá com a gente, right? And Senhor Ramiro Nunes, they're like the ensaiadores, and they're like, oh, this kid can sing and blah blah blah. So I think in 99 I pushed the Bailinho de Varinha with Manuel Barcelos, right?
I remember that.
They gave me, I was like, I don't know, man, I remember in Dressage, and I'm like, singing my songs, olhava para cima para o céu, right? Like, nervous. Senhor Ramiro Nunes is like, what are you looking at? What about friend? Like, right? And then people started saying, you could sing, you should push, and then it just led on to that, right? Like, I think I did a couple more, dancers spondeiro, and I started acting. I think I probably started acting first after that 99. I did a couple of dancers spondeiro, which is Maria and Tropical, Joe da Silva, and depois representei também numa dança de espada ou duas, right? So And then
you had a lot of influences around you that meshed pandeiro around you that can teach you and stuff, or did you learn by watching other people? Or
actually, the Pandey thing, it was my wife.
oh wow,
So my wife had pushed, back in the day. She was, everybody knew Michelle, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
at that time, I think it was like Maria and her brother Louis, and then it might have been Michelle, right? Like, so I started dating her in 2000, and then going over her house, playing around with the tambourine, pandeiro, push it by, and depois estamos em puxar uma dança de pandeiro, right? So, but she was my teacher, right? Ela
Wow.
que me ensinou a fazer o rebate and ia tocar pandeiro, right? So,
yeah, it's nice. It's nice to hear how everything comes together.
Yeah, no, and then after that, like we've done, even she's pushed a couple dances after we started dating, and I think even when we were married, we might have pushed a dance together upon date, right? And then we had, Jose Maria was doing dances every while, and then I stuck to that group, right? For a long time. Jose Maria fazia de pandeiro, and I would act, or puxamos espada já duas vezes, right? Me and Jose Maria, right? So, I was just like, whatever it takes, if it's uma part, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've had people like, yeah, man, já foste mestre o ano passado e agora estás a representar, right? Teve one que fui de mestre e fui de dançarino, uma dança de José Maria, right? Just because, eles precisavam de dançarino, right? But I was like, man, whatever it takes, right? Like, I just wanted to be up on stage, and I wanted to be in Carnival, right?
Yep. That makes sense. And you said you participated in many things, dança espiada, pandeiro, fazer papéis. You now do more towards the comedy side. What comes? Not what you enjoy, but what comes at you easier? Make people laugh, or that serious part of the acting?
I don't know. I kind of like both, right? So when I joined the banda, os rapazes, at that time I was Lusitania Banda Associação de Cristo. Now we're just Banda Associação de Cristo. I think I've been with the boys now for 14 or 15 years, right? And then obviously I got more.
So yes, after a little bit of technical difficulties, sorry about that, my folks. We're back at it. You were saying what you enjoy more, making people laugh, doing, or the serious part of acting?
Honestly, man, a dança de espada puxa sempre bocadinho por mim, right?
Oh.
Eu gosto de ver uma dança de espada. Eu gosto de representar uma dança de espada. Eu gosto de puxar uma dança de espada. Mas eu também gosto de representar no carnaval, right? So obviously I'm with the Banda Associação de Cristo, the boys now for I think 14 or 15 years, and we've got along from day one, and I enjoy what I do there too, right? So I think over the years I've gotten more comfortable. I don't like to overdo it up on stage, and that's my character, right? Like, so I like to, know my assunt, and and I don't like to overdo it, I don't like to see other people really overdoing it up on stage as well. Right? So I try to stay, so and I think we have a good duo, me and the boys there, right? Like, so we have a lot of fun up on stage, and that's the most important thing. So. To answer your question, I like doing both, man. It's just that fortunately or unfortunately, I do the comedy part more often, right? Because there's not too many danças de espada going on in Canada, but I really enjoy a dança de espada.
Because to be honest, uma dança de espada, and obviously I also love to watch uma dança de espada. Do assunto, I won't lie. Sometimes the assuntos have to be really, really, really good.
Yeah.
But the cantigas e as modas that I love the most are from a dança de espada. But the real part, the real side of the story is it's hard to organize one dança de espada.
Very, very. And I've done 3. I've done 2 with José Maria, and I've done 1 on my own. Well, it's actually, I think, the year I joined the boys here from St. Christ. We did Carnival, and then for Easter, I was just like, guys, like, I've always wanted to do one on my own. So, you guys helped me out, and some of the boys were on board, right? Even Schnij was like, man, I'll go to Saudade, but like, just 'cause it's you, right? But
yeah.
So I got to do that on my own. But it is a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work. It's a dança de pandeiro or baile aberto or maybe baile de varinha is totally different, right? You have a couple of good laughs. Se o ensaio corre bem naquele dia, vai correr no outro. Uma dança espada, it's kind of like, está a correr mal. Oh, shit. And then everybody kind of gets depressed and everybody gets antsy. Everybody gets upset. Like, so.
It's a different vibe.
Yeah, totally different vibe, right? But I enjoy it, man. If I still have that dream of pushing another dança espada and maybe go to Tuga with a dança espada, because that's always been my thing. Once I started in dances and once I started pushing dança espada, I was like, man, one gostava de ir puxar uma dança espada, right? Like, vamos ver, right?
Yeah, that what you said right now touches me a bit in the feels, because I always wanted to do a dança espada. We were about to do one when I was younger. We were practicing and everything, but unfortunately, at a dança do São João, it was the story of John the Baptist, and unfortunately, porque comeu a dança a few weeks before the dance was to come out, and ever since I've always dreamed of coming out and doing one. And my father always had a dream of puxar mais uma dança de espada, and his dream was entregar a espada to me, and I would have loved that. And maybe it could happen in a different way, maybe not exactly in that way, but maybe in a different way we can make it happen.
Yeah,
and I find it a shame that we there's not as many danças espada that are done here in not only here in Terceira, also you see there's not many also
everywhere. And
because it's not only the public, it's the work and everything involved.
It's the work, but in the 90s we had like 2 or 3 here almost every Easter, right? Manuel Barcelos, people whatever can say whatever about Manuel Barcelos, but eu me lembro, like, ele ia buscar músicos a casa, ia buscar dançarinos, ia buscar, ia levar a casa, às 10, 11, meia-noite, right? Like, he was committed, man. If anybody was committed to doing a dança de espada, I got to give props to Manuel Barcelos, like.
Yeah, God rest his soul. Tinha a força de vontade para isso, então.
Oh, man, like, him limp, like, sometimes, at that time I didn't drive either, so I'm like, hey, man, you give me a ride home. He's like, oh, yeah, you come with me and drop off these musicians, and a gente ia para Mississauga, para Brampton, to stool, right? So by the time I get home, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so the guy, he's like, oh, so I don't fall asleep, right? Like, I was like, okay, man, like, but it's... Aquele gajo o Manuel tinha vontade, right?
And not now everybody, life changes. Life right now, if there's something about life, it moves fast, and sometimes we don't take the time to do these little things and make it happen. But once we do, we always feel rewarded after. There's nothing like after finishing a dance or finishing as atuações no domingo de Páscoa ou no domingo de Carnaval here, or na terça-feira de Carnaval in Portugal, like of a mission accomplished,
100%, and that's I think why a lot of us do it, right? Like, obviously we've I've made a lot of friendships along these years, right? A lot of good friends. I've probably made some enemies too, but I've made I think more friends than enemies due to Carnival, right? And that's the thing that you get at the end. It's like, hey, país, like, everybody gets excited. People want us to do it again, right? Like, everybody's excited, and grateful that they did it and they were in it. Like, I remember, a lot of people that the first time, and they're kind of like hesitant, and like, but quando acabava, like, they're, well, we want more.
Yeah.
So isso já acabou. I'm like, hey, bom para one, like.
Yeah.
So
I compared a lot with friends that never did it, and they ask me, especially if they're not Xerens, and they're like, what's the feeling? I go, but for me, I could compare it to having a tattoo, because as soon as it's done, you want to do another one.
That's right. That's right. No, it's great, and I love that. I love that, like the friendships, like that you make along these, because of dances, right? Like,
Mhm.
and not only friendships, right? Like marriages. Like, I met my wife in Carnival. A lot of the guys in our dances met their wives in,
Mhm.
Carnival, right? Like a lot of my buddies got married and they met in Carnival and stuff like that. So, like, aquilo dá conhecer muita gente and dá casamentos e
Yeah.
também dá divórcio, right? But, like,
It's true.
but,
Of
it's
course.
great. It's great,
Yeah, it's part of that circle of life, and
right?
the culture keeps us together, and and like what I see with your community in the Greater Toronto area is you guys have that that privilege, not that privilege, but that proud to have that youth involved in Carnival right now.
Yeah, more and more now, right?
Yep, I see it.
I mean, when I first started, there was a lot of youth, right?
Mhm.
Late 90s. Vias muita juventude, right? Like guys, girls, 16, 17, 18, even younger, right? Depois aquilo também, morreu, right? Obviously, os clubes também começaram a fechar, and
Yeah.
so houve menos danças, and then, all these people, whatever. But, eu acho que esses últimos 2, 3 anos, you're seeing more and more, right? And I can speak for myself. My kids are in it now, right?
Mhm.
I mean, they've always kind of been in it, sometimes with the boys, I would bring my son with me, like a couple of, I remember Jerry, his son came and I think they played a little part, and there must have been like, I don't know, 10 years old, right? I think my son played Nunch and Jerry's son played Nun Marx in a dance that we did. Right? So they're like so young, right? So they've been around it, right? And I guess now, they're 17 and they're doing it more and more, and they're enjoying it because now their friends are doing it, and
Mhm.
so and I'm proud of that, right? Like,
Yeah, of course, and that's a big part of them liking it and wanting to continue doing it after is those little things like you bringing them in your dance when they were young, or like I saw last year, Jonathan's the 3 little kids that were in front dressed like Rapaz Montreal. That it's that thing that I remember as a 8, 9-year-old that made me want to continue and made me want to join these things. So that's all part. And then after being with the friends adds to it, the memories that you create, all that. And now being in Bandersnus on Christ and being with a whole bunch of people your age, because me, I never had that until recently. I was always, as a kid, with my mother and her colleagues were ensaiadores, and then later on was with my dad. So it was like my dad was like more of the authority person. So os iniciais weren't really what I after lived in Portugal and what I'm live now when I do Rapaz Montreal. And I find is a big part and very important in Carnaval is o convívio dos iniciais and having fun also.
100%, right? The boys, and I tell everybody, the boys are great, man. Like our group is, not because I'm in it or whatever, but we're different, man. I usually tell people there's no arguments, there's no problems, o que a gente a gente faz, we talk amongst each other, right? And it's great. The boys, it's been a great experience, man. And we have a lot of fun, right? We went to Saudade 10 years ago too with a group, right? We took a small group. I think Jonathan brought that up with you the other day, and that was a great experience, right? Like I think became even tighter as a group, right? But practices it's been great, and then being in Saudade last year with the boys again, right? We got to go to Laranjeiras practice. We got to go to Cinco Mais Três practice and a couple other practices, and then we started realizing, wow, like this is what it's all about. Like we're doing something wrong back in Canada, right? Like this is what it's about, man. Look at these guys, like they're having fun.
Because if you're at practice and things are too serious, sometimes some things might not come out that are going to be part of your atuação, because estavas a brincar ali no ICA, estavas a recear com outro, and then, hey, isto ficava bem ali na nossa. Not everything script, everything is robotic, and everything is script. But that's not the way it's supposed to be lived.
No, but chegas lá, eles estão a grelhar pernas, estão a grelhar, like, and they're eating and they're drinking and they're, eles estão a ensaiar, but, a gente aqui é tudo like, okay, vamos, okay, guys, let's take this serious. Let's, our group is also very big too, right? So it's like we try to ensaiar, so with the actors, and then the music does it by themselves, and then we join everybody. Faltar 2 semanas para o Carnaval.
And then you bring everybody together, yes.
Right, but but man, and we did a couple of practices this year, at each other's houses, and we're making, if it was in the morning, be making breakfast, and or if it was at nighttime, they're making dinner for chouriço, and it was a different ball game this year.
Yeah.
So
it's lived totally differently after, and you look at it. You also look at it differently after. 100%. Now I know you help a lot. The going back to the youth involved in Carnaval, you also try to help a lot. Like, for example, you have your kids and your nephews.
My
godson, exactly, in a group also. And how is that now, being the guy giving advice and to the younger generation?
You know what? It's great, and I help out. Tyler is the master of that.
Yes, exactly. Tyler
of that group, and the main, right? Like Tyler and his girlfriend Cassandra, they're great kids, and and I try to give them pointers and help them out, and because we didn't really get that from the old guys. Like if you made a mistake, they'd give you shit.
Yeah.
If they didn't think you had enough talent, they wouldn't even give you a chance.
No.
Like I remember when I wanted to, like, I think my first year or something, like, tinha uma pessoa que dizia só uma quadra na dança de espada, and I wanted to do it so bad. E quando eu comecei a ler aquilo, I'm not going to mention the ensaiador, but he's like, tu não das. Because, my Portuguese wasn't correct, right? And he disse ali uma palavra ou duas maldita, e ele disse logo, oh, não dá, right? Like, so a gente tinha aquele apoio, right? Like,
instead of trying to teach you how to say it properly.
That's right? So, and I try to encourage Tyler, my kids, all those young kids. I know all those kids since they were babies, man.
Yeah.
They, some of them were family, some of them are like family. So I've known them since they're in diapers, really. And these kids were following me around and chasing me through the halls of Carnival or at the bullfights and stuff like that. So it's nice. I try to, he came here a lot of times, and I talked to him a lot, and some days he's like, man, it's hard, I'm going to give up, and I'm like, man, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly.
Right? No é fácil, right? It's going to get harder before it gets easier, right? Like, just trust, man. Just trust. Levas 1, 2 anos, 3 anos, and you're going to see, man. And he's like, this year, he's like, oh, you know what, man? It was a little bit easier already than the first year. You're right, and he's like, I'm like, man, it's going to get easier. Everybody's going to get comfortable with each other. You guys are going to have like a group after. Quem quiser ficar no grupo vai ficar. Quem quiser, whatever. Exactly. That's how you make a group.
I know it's cliche, but you have to trust the process.
Of course, and that's and I told him that a lot, right? Like, you got to trust the process. It's going to get harder before it gets easier, man. Because if not, everybody would do it.
Why? Of course.
There's a lot of people that go in dances that they like, or meshed and stuff like that, but they never organized. Somebody else organized it for them, right? They just get there, do their songs, do the pandeiro or whatever, and it's because they don't want to do it or they can't do it, right? Because it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. It's not easy. And if you'd have one piece of advice to give a young person or a young group that wants to start a group of Carnaval, what would that be?
Just do it. Just get up on. Just do it, man. If you want to do it and you have the will, you vontade, you can do it. If you set your mind to it, podes fazer o que tu quiseres, right?
Don't think about it too much. Just do it.
Right.
Yeah.
a vontade, and se calhar não vai correr bem o primeiro ano, nem o segundo. But that's how you correct things, and that's how things get better, right?
Yep, exactly.
And then he's like, man, you're right. It's getting easier now, right? Like the flow of the practices and people showing up and all that other stuff. He's like, what a big difference from the year prior to now, right?
Yeah.
Like, I told you, man, you gotta believe too, right?
And once you start seeing that difference, it only gets better from there.
Of course, right? And and that was like, I didn't want him to stop because it was a young group. And we need young people to do it.
Of course.
Right? Not just because my kids were in it.
No.
My godsons and but I just wanted that little group, we need young blood.
Yep.
A gente precisa de juventude, right? A gente...
Because they inspire us too.
Yeah. But I look back, I'm like, os rapazes de Lusitânia, like, they were the kids.
Yeah.
Look at us now, right? Like, nós já estamos a ficar velhinhos, man,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Even though I still,
a gente não gosta de dizer, mas é verdade.
Right? I still feel like I'm 20, right? Or acting.
Yeah, me too.
Right? But like a vontade is different, and I'm very proud of that group, especially, right? Like, and every year, like, he's already talking about for next year, and that kind of reminds me of our group, right? Like, a gente quando acaba já começa a falar pro one, or like, and I'm very proud of them, man, and I've told him whenever like he needs help with anything, and I remember he came here when he got the Assunt, and I helped him read it, and the songs, to how to pronounce some words and stuff like that, right? But I also tell him, man, you make a mistake, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, of course.
You got to go with the flow, right? Especially the kid acting, right? Hey, guys, you can't overthink it. Portuguese is not, and I tell him it's going to improve, right? The more you do it, every year if you do Carnival, your Portuguese is going to improve.
Yep.
So don't worry about it right now. Just have fun up on stage. Say Maldit. That's the way you say it, and that's it. Don't think, and don't worry about other people, what they're going to think about it. It's all about you up on that stage, right? So
So yes, absolutely good advice. Just don't think about it. Just do it, guys. You won't. One thing I can tell you, you will not regret it.
For sure. And about that, like even my kids, right? They started going with me to the practices at a very young age. 14, they were like 5 or 6, so they've been involved, right? And I can see them kind of, parting ways, but now they're back in. My daughter is talking about pushing a dança de pandeiro. My son now is talking about pushing a dança de pandeiro. Or sometimes like, oh, Dad, like, where's your sword?
Yeah.
Right? Like I want to learn it, right? So now it's kind of giving me hope, like, oh, they might do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and they're young, right? Like now they talk about, oh, I think I could do a dança espada, Dad. Or right, or my daughter, like, oh, where's the bag of the pandeiros, right? I have like 20 pandeiros, right? So, I'm like, oh, they're in the closet. Let's go, guys. Start hitting it. Right? Like that's how you start, right?
Yeah,
so, maybe there's hope there, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can hold on to that because I think you have the right ones. You're bringing them up well, and they're going to be your legacy for sure in that aspect.
Yeah. But even my younger one, right? She's 10. Yeah, and I'll follow na dança do Tyler, right? Like she was the capinha part. She loved it. She loved it. She had so much fun up on stage. Ela também gostou da atenção, da audiência, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Wow, Dad! Like, like everybody's coming up to me and saying I did a great job." And so it starts there too, right?
Yeah.
And I usually say it's about confidence as well, right? Uma pessoa quando vai para cima de palco tem confiança.
Yeah,
it's easier.
Oh yeah, much easier for sure.
It's much easier, right?
And it shows also.
Yeah, for sure, and it flows, man. Because and I try to be up on stage, and I remember when I first started, it tinha medo, eu era meio envergonhado, right? Like, agora os dizem que não tenho vergonha, but but I try to do like even when I'm not speaking, and I tell these kids like facial expressions is very important. Or body language, like how to. So I think you can't just stand there like. No. So I think and over the years I've tried to act a little bit more and more, right? So that's another thing I tell all these young kids. It's like, if you're on stage, man, like try to feel that character or step into that role of that character. And that's usually what I do, right? Like, practices, I don't really act much. To me, it's like, and that's who I am. I think the day of, I dress up, and then, okay, you know what? This is my role. This is my character. And that's when I feed off the crowd, gajo por cima do palco, and, you try a different thing here, a different thing there, and, okay, trabalhou aqui, maybe I trabalhou no outro salão, and that's how
That's how it is.
Yeah,
yep.
right?
Yep, perfectly. You'll never do it perfectly. So every time performance, that's where you see and you could get better. You see your stuff. You see, that didn't work too good there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I could. Next one, I'll do it differently. Let's see the reaction. Oh, there it was good. Okay, let's do it like that from now on.
Yeah, no, of course, right? Like, I think that's what it's about. Also, por cima do palco, and like I said, during practices, we practice for like a month, 6 weeks, whatever it is, and I don't really do that character in practices. I feel that I can't. You know what I mean? I try to memorize my quadros, but I only get into character the day of.
Oh, that's interesting. Fabio's like that too. That's
right. I have an idea.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I have an idea of the character that I'm going to play, and obviously the costume is very important. And then once I get dressed up, I just okay, this is my character now, and I'm that character for the day.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, let's say, because you're a man of you're a jack of all trades when it comes to our culture, and I didn't want to do this podcast without also talking about a parte dos touros. Tu também és amante, aficionado da nossa tourada à corda, e you've been a capinha in the community for a long time. So I want you to talk to us about bulls. How did your adventure with bulls start in Canada?
Okay, in Canada, it's like it really started in Saudade, right? I was in I can't remember, but we're in the mat for the Festivals of Saudade, and obviously my brother was a little bit older, but my brother was like, that was his thing. He wanted to be a capinha growing up. But anyway, we're in the mat, bezerra, I'm calling the bezerra, sai outra atrás, dá-me uma cabeçada atrás na cabeça, and I go flying. A terra era vermelha, right? Like Bach.
Yeah.
E não me lembro agora a praça, se era do Albinho ou se era do Gaspar Baldaia, I can't remember. But like I go running to my dad, hey pai, tô cheio de sangue, right? And it was the Bach, because era vermelho, right? You're like, tô de sangue, right? So aquilo, like, I don't know, eu acho que fiquei com medo, gostava de ir, right? Like, o meu pai, he was the biggest fan. Amante da festa rural, meu pai, gostava muito de touradas de corda. Praça, o meu tio Jarry, que tocava trompete na praça, e eu ia com o avô para os touros de praça. So eu fui sempre raised around the bullfights, right? O meu avô da Ribeirinha, como o meu tio tocava trompete, eu acho que eles davam 2 tickets de graça, ou por causa ele tocava trompete, e eu ia com o meu avô, right? As a kid. So eu sempre gostei, right? Like, so, aquelas touradas todas, like we would go, right? So brought up with that, obviously, my dad always watching, in his VCR, tapes from Portugal. So we're raised a ver touros de corda sempre, right? Cassette, depois DVDs. Obviously 89 here. I think it might have been the first bullfighter, or 1990. Obviously, my dad, we're going up to Listowel. Fomos para Listowel, para ver touros. Yes, but I'm 10 years old then, right? Então 10 anos de idade. So, ainda está longe de pensamento da capinha, right? So, mas whatever, fui sempre criado a ver touros. O meu pai não via novelas, não via as notícias, a gente só via touros, hein? I'm telling you, o meu pai vinha trabalho, trabalhava de roda de casa, e vinha para casa, era ver touros, right? Touros. So,
ele tinha partido.
O meu pai foi sempre Jovem Fernandes, right?
Okay,
o meu pai foi mordomo também uma vez lá na feira, e o outro mordomo não era daquele partido, mas tinha que vir daquele partido, só foi 2 touros de cada, whatever, eu falo naquelas vezes. Mas ele foi sempre Jovem Fernandes, é claro que a gente também fomos criados a ser, José Fernandes, right?
Yeah, of course.
No momento, sou amigo da freguesia, que é o Francisco Pereira, e que era muito amigo dele. Ele também puxava um bocado para o Sr. Francisco Pereira, right? E claro, também, obviamente, a gente também puxamos para a ganaderia, right? Porque somos amigos de infância, vizinhos, right? So, but whatever, vem para aqui, fomos aos touros, Listowel. I think I'm 23 now. 23, I go to Cambridge. Vamos aos touros, eu acho que vou com o José Maria, a esposa dele agora, e a minha esposa agora, vamos os 4 para cima, vamos para Cambridge, nunca mais me esqueço desse dia, porque tinha um Harley Davidson Store antes de sair na highway, right? E o José Maria para lá e compra botas, chapéu, anyway, but vamos para os touros. My dad's there with my brother, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Eu hoje vou dar passo esse touro, right? I'm thinking. Pronto. I know no pastores, but Hélio, o Hélio Leal, era pastor for Fernando at that time.
Yeah. So
I met Hélio because, his mom is from Fteira. So, my dad grew up with Hélio, right? So, I talked to Hélio, right? I go up to Hélio, I'm like, hey, man, estou pensando passo, but se tu for para pegar, vê se me ajudas, right? He's second. Mario Fisher, that now we became really good buddies, and muito confiança com Mario Fisher. But I know Mario Fisher, olha que era o primeiro, right? But eu falei com ele, isso é para pode ir à vontade, right? I'm like, wow, so now I have some confidence, right? Eu chego ao pé do meu pai, and I'm like, pai, hoje vou dar um passo naquele touro. Pá, tu não sejas tolo, man. Não está nenhum, right? So I'm like, a lot of respect for my dad, right? And I'm like, okay, you know what? Eu vou ficar aqui por fora. But all of a sudden, man, I felt myself inside the arena. Peguei num guarda-sol e esperei para um touro que era um touro vermelho do Fernando, que eles diziam que era o touro da filha. O touro, Cambridge, before used to have a little hill in the middle. O touro vem para aquela ladeirazinha abaixo, eu escorrego, man, o touro não me pegou, mas eu fiquei surdo. Eu não vi nada à minha frente. It was like a blur. O medo,
of course, yeah.
Os nervos, it was all a blur. And then all of a sudden, I feel somebody picking me up, which was Sarita, which I respect that guy a lot nowadays, right? He picks me up with one hand, and he's got 2 umbrellas in the other hand. And he's like, vamos outra vez. He's like, vamos. And I'm all hyped up at this moment, right? Eu não vejo ninguém, and I can't hear anybody. I'm like, vamos. And man, pegou ali e nunca mais parei. That's it.
Yeah,
so 2003, I think it was June 17. I have the picture over there. At that time was, the roll. So the date is printed on the bottom in orange. I believe it was June 17, 2003. Right? So, pôs ali, Fernando, he came to give me a little pass. Como fores lá para a quinta, não precisas pagar, dá uns passos. And, e aquilo, depois pegou, man, e olha, até hoje. It's going to be 25 years next year.
30 years of Carnival and then over 20 years of Capinha.
Yeah, well, Carnival too, right? Like 1997, my first dance. So
next year, 30 years, yeah.
Yeah, eu acho que nunca parei, man. Yesterday or day before, I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, maybe when the twins were born, I didn't go, right? She's like, are you crazy? You went for Easter. I'm like, oh, okay. Because my kids were born in January, right? So
yeah, because you were telling me the other day at the fete, you were going. I think that's one of the years I didn't go. Finally, you did go.
Yeah, so I'm talking to my wife. She's like, no, you did go. Right? I'm like, okay, right? So she's like, you left me at home with 2 babies. You went, right? So I don't think if I paused the year or 2, I don't remember, right? But kind of, and then Touradas, obviously 25. I've gained, again, muitas amizades. Também perdi muitas amizades por causa dos touros, but I've gained a lot of respect. And, as ganaderias quase todas, right? Que me apoiarem e eu apoiei eles, right? Like,
yeah. So yeah, I remember seeing you at the at practically all the bullfights, always supporting practically everybody and always participating and everything.
Always. And I'm not going to lie, right? Tem muita gente, o Fernando quer o teu partido, o teu padrinho. And you know what? Eu sempre puxei bocadinho mais para aquela casa, right? It's where I started, right?
Yeah. There's always that little something, of course.
Right? And, naquela altura, gajo criou confiança com os pastores, right? Like, and I felt
Which is important for a capinha, no?
Very important, right? And I felt like that was my house, right? And I was, I respected everybody, and I think I was very respected at the house. But depois eu criei confiança com os pastores todos, das granadarias todas, right? Like, mas eu me lembro a granadaria and audiências like, oh, what are you doing over here? Isto não é o teu partido. Como quem diz, like, get out of here type of thing, right?
Yeah, get those piadas.
Yeah, right? Mas, it tomei confiança com os pastores todos, right? Like, from Joe Borges, especially at that time, right? João Malinha, and, like, all those guys, like, Mario Fisher, right? Fernando's, like, man, to simp, it was easier to go and bullfight knowing that, a primeira é de todo, mas a segunda e a terceira eu não vou mamar.
Yeah.
Because I knew they had my back.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right? E aquilo era importante, right? So, também que me diga, like, o carnaval vem à base da confiança, a KPA hoje também vem à base da confiança, right? Quanto mais confiança tem, I think, it makes you comfortable, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I like to ask this question to the Capinhas in Canada. What would be the one difference? Well, obviously, other than the street and the terra of Capiat and Terceira and Canada. Some maybe if you give an advice to a Capinha from there coming here or a Capinha from here going there.
Well, and I've made a lot of friends over the years of Capinhas from Terceira, right? And I actually enjoyed it. Some people they say, a gente não gosta que os vêm, but you know what? I've always liked it, right? Because I learned from those guys a little bit too, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because they come from Terceira, where a Torá da Corda is number one.
Yeah.
Right? É quase todos os dias, right? So by doing that, it's different. But obviously é o terreno, right? Eles vêm para aqui o terreno, right? É um touro, man. Mas às vezes não se dá para ver aqui a qualidade de um touro por causa do terreno, right?
Yeah.
Porque não deixa fazer, não deixa o capinha fazer o que aquele touro que se pode fazer às vezes no Alcatrão. Estás a perceber?
Ok, estou a perceber, yeah.
You know what I mean? Às vezes, para dar ali umas voltas, obviously you have to wear soccer shoes, right? So you're wearing cleats. So já não é a mesma coisa, right?
Yeah.
E tem touros que às vezes a gente dizia, pá, se esse touro fosse no Alcatrão, que levava mesmo uma coça, right? So aqui é o terreno. O terreno, não vou dizer pastores porque houve grandes pastores aqui no Canadá. Houve grandes pastores aqui no Canadá, só não se pode falar nisso. O que eu posso dizer é o terreno, right?
Yeah.
O touro tem a mesma bravura. Epá, I don't know, lá aqueles touros também eram criados naqueles matos e naquelas montanhas e mais escondidos. Aqui os terrenos também são direitos.
É diferente.
O terreno aqui é flat, não tem ladeiras, não tem covas, não tem pedras, não tem árvores, não tem nada, right? Depois também temos o inverno, que é, snow. Mas eu acho que touro é touro, man,
Yeah.
Só para mim, a diferença...
Os touros são bravos da mesma maneira, não?
Eu acho que sim. Se meteste à frente de um touro na terceira e se meteres aqui à frente, vais levar uma amarrada à mesma. Isso é garantido.
That's well said, yeah, of course.
Right? Isso é garantido. Eles dizem, o touro aqui não é igual. Ok, então mete à frente do touro aqui para ver se ele vai pegar.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. That says it all.
Right? Se eles não têm bravura, ou se eles não são maus, então mete à frente e espera para ver o que ele faz.
Vai brincar com ele.
Right? So, para mim, touro é touro. Já tivemos aqui também grandes touros. Temos aqui, like, really good bulls. Over the 25 years I can remember from all the ganaderias, right? Like, Elio had a couple bulls that I really liked. Joe Borges, Fernando, right? Like, you know what I mean? So, a gente já sabia, aquele touro vai correr hoje, ok, you know what I mean? Like, so já teve aqui grandes touros, right?
So, but yeah, there's been, and we're lucky. more and more people are having bulls, and more and more people want to participate in this tradition que é a nossa tourada à corda. E isso também, I see a lot of youth involved, and I enjoy seeing that.
Yeah, epá, eu digo que eu fico todo babado quando eu vou uma tourada, right? Like, you know, like, então, o meu afilhado que é ganadeiro, right?
Yeah.
You know, JS.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows JJ Soares. O meu irmão é pastor.
Yep.
O meu outro afilhado, que é o irmão JJ Capinha. O meu filho já começou o ano passado a dar uns passos e este ano está a se entregar mais à tourada, à tourada. So you know,
it's
like,
becoming a family thing.
It's crazy, right? Like, and I say, like, I probably started all that. Right? Eu comecei a ser capinha, depois o meu irmão também ia às touradas com o meu pai, depois, you know, como eu era capinha, já ia mais a família toda, depois o meu irmão começou a ir à corda, then my godsons foram criados naquele farm do Fernando, right? So I think também tem um bocadinho daquele o bichinho que está neles, maybe, you know, I feel like, you know, um bocadinho também por causa de mim, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Right?
You definitely have a role to play in it, definitely.
Right? Se não fosse capinha, não sei se o meu irmão era pastor, talvez, right? Porque, mas, you know, like, me ia para o Fernando.
Everything happens for a reason, no?
Right? Eles também depois recebiam bem a minha família, right? Uma coisa também, o Fernando, meu pai, minha mãe, right? Like, you know, já recebiam bem, right? Like, I remember towards, you know, maybe not the first year or two, but like, okay, you know what, your parents don't pay to get in, you know what I mean? Like, right? So they, like, Fernando was great that way, right? So eu acho que também puxou depois o meu irmão também um bocadinho, right? Para ir à corda, foi pastor, right? And then obviously the kids were born into that farm, man, and they, you know, JJ loves this stuff too, right? So.
Yeah, he's very dedicated to it and taking care of it and going up there. And that also takes a lot of work. So props to him for that, man. Guaranteed.
Very, man. You know, sometimes I'm like, man, I don't know, Jay. Like, seriously, like, you want to do this? You know, trabalho vai dar, you know, despesa, e trabalho, e despesa, and dor de cabeça. But, you know, I'm super proud of him, man. You know, he's becoming you know, a little man, you know, like, he's, from last year to this year, yeah, I've seen like a huge difference in him too. Like, he's, you know, I'm proud of him, you know, super proud of him, right? So
he's the perfect example of how time flies and they grow up so fast.
Tell me about it, man. That kid, he was attached to my hip when he was a kid, man. Like, it was crazy, you know. He was like Spider-Man. He would chase me. He wouldn't leave me alone. And now, like, you know, sometimes I look at him and I'm like, look at this kid, man. Like, you know, it's, you know, agradecer, you know.
Wow.
Começou com touro, levou umas piadas, começou com os jogadores, you know, like, agora já tem, you know, 12 or 13, like, and he's doing it, man. He's doing it, right? So I'm super proud.
It comes back to what we were saying before. Don't think about it. Just do it.
Just do it, right? And then, you know, obviously, you know, he's probably the youngest one. Austin too, right? You know, he's a young kid too, and he's doing it as well, right? Proud of him too. You know, I think AJ too is starting his own little thing. Let's see how that goes. You know, so I'm proud, and I'm proud to see all these young capinas out there, and, you know, like, and these young pastors that, I mean, I have pictures with them, like, when they were like in diapers, man. You know,
it's crazy.
And now they're all grown men. And I went up to the farm like Friday, and you have to see it, Michael. It was crazy. These young kids, like, there's no old guys there. You know, like JJ said, you know, me and his dad, right?
Yeah.
A gente diz nada. Eles que distinguem tudo. Eles que fazem tudo, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You're seeing these young 21, 22-year-olds. My son's in there, and I was like, man, I don't know, man. Eu estava cheio de medo to see my son in there. And so I'm like, oh my God, like, I was stressing out.
How the circle comes full,
right? And I'm like, oh my God. And then he's like, hey, Dad, you know, I'm gonna go help my JJ, my cousin, right? This and that. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. But if you saw that back also half, man, and my heart dropped, right? So right? Like, but man, it's crazy to see, Antigamente eram os velhos que faziam aquilo, velhos, pessoas de idosos.
Sim.
Rapazinho ou dois, eles ainda davam um carolo, já vi-te aqui, as canalha, blá blá. And then I go over there, my brother doesn't say a word, I don't say a word, e eles manobrem aqueles todos para cima, para baixo. It's crazy to see, man.
It must be so nice to see, and I enjoy it, man. I enjoy seeing them. I enjoy being with these youths because it seems like they're I don't know if it skipped a generation, but this generation it did not skip. That generation it did not skip, guaranteed.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Before we wrap this up, you organized a few years ago. I wanted to absolutely talk about this. You organized a few years ago, not too many, uma tourada na Teixeira in honor of your dad. That's also another dream of mine that I would like to do one day, and that you accomplished. Beautiful, nice, so beautiful. I want you to tell us a bit about that story. The process of organizing it and how it was when it happened and how you felt and everything. Nice, it's so beautiful, man. That's a nice quadro.
Yeah, so isto foi uma oferta do Ganader que ofereceu à gente. And, ofereceu à minha mãe, but I'm like, no, isso vai ficar comigo, right? Right, so I grabbed it right away, right? O Ganader de São Francisco Pereira, homenagem à tourada do meu pai, e os todos correrem naquele dia, right?
Nice.
Going about it, it's, aqui, como eu disse, a gente só via touros na minha casa, right? E depois, claro, my dad loved going to Teixeira, e quando eu podia ali, right? E depois a gente às vezes, comecei a ser capinha, o meu irmão pastor, depois o meu sonho era ir à terceira capinha, right? Obviously, estou aqui a campear.
Yeah, of course.
Fui em 2007, right? Pela primeira vez. It was crazy. Chamei na Fonte da Vila, chamei naquelas freguesias todas, right? 2007, right? Capinhas lá, Marcinho, Fábio naquela altura, mesmo Magalhães, Paulinhos, like all those guys were great to me, right? But anyway, depois, I'm a capinha, my brother's a pastor, and a gente em casa só falava em todos. No verão, de inverno, às vezes havia umas touradas, na Foz a gente falava em carnaval, but todos. So, geriam, um dia a gente ia dar uma tourada lá na feira, right? Infelizmente, a vida não deixou, um casa, outro casou, depois, filhos, trabalhos, a vida, right?
A vida, yeah.
A vida. E depois, infelizmente, o meu pai faleceu, right? E ele faleceu, right? So a gente, dissemos assim, like, ok, tem pessoas que dão esmelas or whatever, right? And I'm like, falei com o meu irmão, and I'm like, a gente devia dar uma tourada, homenagem ao pai, right? Uma coisa que a gente sempre falamos, nunca teve a oportunidade, right? So,
nice.
Eu e o meu irmão concordamos e foi claro que, o ganadeiro primeiro que veio à cabeça foi logo o Sr. Francisco Pereira, porque era um grande amigo do meu pai, era procurador da gente, foi o procurador da gente, e I'm like, vamos ficar com o ganadeiro também da freguesia, tudo na freguesia da Feteira, right? Like, I want it to be all about Feteira, right? Because, that's, my dad was big about Feteira, right? E depois falamos do Sr. Francisco Pereira primeiro, right? Vocês que vêm para cá, depois a gente, quando chegarem cá a gente falamos com a data. Claro que, um amigo nosso fazia parte da comissão, só entramos em contato com ele. Falamos que a gente queria dar a tourada nas festas da Feteira para ser incluído nas festas da Feteira e que fizesse parte da festa deles, right? Mas eu acho que eles acabavam em dia 21, e a gente foi no dia 22. Concordarem, eles a que ficarem à base de tirar as licenças para a gente, também forem, like, não há palavras para agradecer àquela malta e amigos, right? They did all the hard work for us. All
the logistical part, yeah.
They took the licenças and fizerem tudo. A gente chegamos lá, foi só ok, é X para a licença, X para isso, outros ofereceu foguetes, depois, like, queria também, a dar comida e bebida, só tivemos o porco no espeto, também um grande amigo meu, que é o Paulo Rocha, you know who he is, right? O Barradinha, right? Fez a comida, temos o porco no espeto no mato e cerveja sempre a rolar, depois comida, eu queria fazer, uma grande festa para a feira, right? Também tivemos, um presente, Décio and Fábio, who was doing improviso. That was the highlight of that festa for us, because eu queria eles, ele tinha-me dito que não podia, or he would let me know, and then that day it was like a surprise. Foi a base assim, pá,
E o povo marcou presença?
Muita presença. E não é porque foi a nossa tourada, mas eu acho houve 3 ou 4 touradas naquela semana, e eu acho que dia 22 de agosto tinha mais gente. E também, tinha feito umas entrevistas aí com o Roberto e a Délia, right? Like, so social media, I was inviting everybody, right?
Yes.
Foi só 14 barris de cerveja que a gente bebemos naquele dia.
Não é ruim.
Right? I think that's 150 beers in a barrel, right?
Não faltou cerveja, então.
Cerveja não faltou, man. Right? Eu disse a ele, man, eu prefiro que tragas a mais que falte, right?
Pois, sim, senhor.
Right? So, também disse, o que a gente não vender, o que a gente não vendemos nada, foi tudo de graça. O que a gente não vê, we can return it, right? So I'm like, okay, então traz a mais, right? Like,
então, pois, claro.
Se a gente pode devolver, right? Mas eu acho que não fomos devolver nenhum.
Right? Não vamos deixar isso atrás, não vamos acabar com isso.
Só que para mim, e posso falar também na minha família, foi um grande orgulho, como a nossa freguesia abraçou a gente de tal maneira, like, man, não há palavras. O calor, o amor, as amizades, aquela malta toda a ajudar num sentido ou outro, like, claro que a gente tinha vendido a nossa casa já, que lá às vezes era agora aquela casa em frente à igreja, era a casa dos meus pais, right? Só a gente não tinha casa, ainda é que a gente vai fazer, depois a casa do povo ficava longe, depois claro que falamos o Império, só aquelas pessoas que forem limpar o Império e preparar para a gente, e oferecerem e ajudar, e like, aquilo foi para mim, foi um espetáculo.
É uma coisa que vais-te lembrar para o resto da tua vida, então.
Nunca mais esquece, like.
It must have been a special occasion also for your kids, no? Also.
Great. It was great, right? Like, so foi a minha família toda, right? O meu irmão e a sua família também. Claro que os nossos tios todos lá da feira, do lado da minha mãe, que o meu pai não tem lá ninguém, acompanharem a gente. E mesmo do lado do meu pai tinha lá a minha tia, só acompanharem a gente, aquilo é uma coisa que não mais esquece, é para o resto da vida, right? Like,
it's those moments that make up our memories for life.
For life, man. Like, I wish I could do it every year,
Yeah.
It's this, and if for nada, but like people would come up to me like, wow, man, this is a great party. This is amazing. Like, mesmo aquela gente na freguesia, or like, mesmo para a freguesia ficou bonito. Like, they're so proud.
Yeah.
Da freguesia em si estava orgulhosa da gente estava a fazer essa homenagem ao meu pai, right? Like,
e dela ser sucesso também.
Yeah, right? Like, I just wish, man, he was,
he was watching.
Yeah, and I know he was watching because, tive, infelizmente escarreguei na corda e não levei sopa de corno naquele dia. Ele se calhar estava olhando para a gente, right? But, I wish he was there physically, man. It would have been like, he would have been so proud.
Yep.
Yeah, crazy. Like, mesmo, o mordomo que servi com ele nas festas da feira, e ele fez lá uma placazinha que é o Osvaldo, right? Que é da Feteira, mais conhecido talvez por Osvaldinho, like, fez umas placas, entregou uma a mim, um mormão, like, that itself
means the world, yeah.
Like, aquilo tocou, man, aquilo tocou, right? Aquele senhor foi mordomo com o meu pai na Feteira, não sei há quantos anos, e fez umas placas com o touro e a ganaderia FP, right? Like, e ofereceu a gente, aquilo também tocou-me, like,
Tem uma coisa, os cearenses podem ter muitos defeitos, a gente todos temos defeitos, mas tem uma coisa que os cearenses têm, eles sabem receber o pessoal.
Oh yeah,
sabem make them feel special and thank them, the gratitude for coming and visiting.
100%. But mesmo aquele ano, like, eu fiz questão, like, and I told my brother, a gente vai e as festas da Feteira era todos os dias, right? Like, my thing was because o meu pai gostava tanto daquilo e de arrematar, like, eu também arrematei, like, I never look arrematava, tá? Deus, like, meu pai, eu me lembro em criança, meu pai gostava de arrematar, right? E so, like, I wanted to, I don't know how to say it, mas eu queria ter aquele sentimento que o meu pai tinha sentido, talvez, quando ele estava...
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, eu disse mesmo à minha família, o meu irmão, like, eu faço questão que a gente fica na Feteira todos os dias. A gente vai para a festa, a gente vai almoçar lá na taxa que era dos mordomos, a gente vai jantar. A gente almoçava e jantava sempre na taxa dos mordomos. Like, eu fiz questão, like, aquela semana é só as festas da feira. Quando passar, a gente depois vai às outras, right?
To participate give yourself 100%. Yeah.
Yes, like, it queria, like, I wanted to have that feeling of just, like, okay, o meu pai quando estava aqui, ele não ia para as outras freguesias.
Exactly.
Passava aqui aquela semana, right? Like,
so you do it like him.
Yeah, right?
That's the way to do it.
O meu irmão fez anos no dia 22 de agosto, a tourada foi no dia 22 de agosto. Sabemos que o meu pai tinha câncer no dia 22 de agosto. So, isso tudo quando um gajo quando começa a pensar como é que caí tudo ali, like, e depois eu acho que tinha duas datas, ou era no dia 19 de agosto e o dia 22. Quando o mordomo disse aquilo, I was like, wow, it's meant to be, man. Descobrimos que o meu pai ficou câncer no dia 22 de agosto, o meu irmão fazia anos no dia 22 de agosto, and I was like, e eu sempre lembro, o meu pai em criança dizia, às vezes as festas caíam nos anos do meu irmão, right? Like,
yeah, because of the time, yes.
Right? So, no dia 22 de agosto, right? So I was like, wow, man, like, so tudo, ao fim e ao cabo, like, fez sentido, like, eu não sei dizer, mas a emoção, o sentimento que eu tive naquelas 2 semanas que eu tive lá,
just felt right.
Incredible, man, incredible. Eu estava, like, I was emotionally, man, I was a mess. I was a hot mess. I was like, keeping myself together, but I was a hot mess. Like, I was, I was excited. I was nervous. I was anxious. I wanted, because it's also a lot of responsibility, right? Like,
of course,
you're planning food, you're planning the tourada, you're planning this, you have to get this, you have to get that, and my brother queria dar pass, my godsons queria dar patch, my filho queria dar patch. So now I'm thinking, like, it's like, it has to run well, right? Like,
yeah, of course. All those things are moving in your head,
and the pressure. I definitely felt the pressure, man. Like, a little bit of everything, right? Like, like, is there going to be enough food? Is there going to be enough beer? Like,
making sure everything's okay. You don't want to miss anything. Right? You know how that is running around and all that.
Mesmo dos foguetes, right? Like, like, meu pai gostava de tirar foguetes, right? So eu também fiz questão de, like, to get extra foguetes. Like, the mordomos bought, so I bought extra. O gajo também me ofereceu 2 ou 3 foguetes. Man, I can't remember his name now. He does fireworks in Saudade and stuff like that. Then he também fez fireworks ao fim da noite, right? Like, it was crazy, man. Like, e criar, e disse ao aquele senhor lá dos foguetes, o senhor que arrebenta com os foguetes todos, e quer arrebentar fogo, right? Like, he's like, é para arrebentar esses foguetes todos, é para arrebentar isso tudo.
Vamos a ele, não é para ficar nada atrás.
Nada, right? Like, you know, from a kid, I remember my dad didn't smoke, right? But quando eu tinha ali aprendido a arrebentar fogo, he, you know, light up a cigarette, and he liked that. So aquilo para mim was like, it was a big deal.
Of course.
You know, a little thing as the foguete to me was a little, you know, I think when
it was a little reminder of how he did things and when he liked to do. Of course.
I think when the first foguete popped, I cried.
I believe you. You know what I mean? Believe you. It's very, very easy to get emotional in those situations.
Very.
But those are the ones that we keep for a lifetime, man.
Yeah. Right. So
I won't keep you away from your family any longer. It's what an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for this, Paul. It was enriching, and you were very generous with your time. I appreciate it. And there's so much more to talk about. Maybe soon we'll jump on with your kid, and we'll talk a bit about Carnaval and Saudade with him and you at the same time.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. You know, once again, Michael, thank you so much. This was amazing. I loved it, and you know, whenever you need me again, anytime, man. Like I really enjoyed this, right? So, como o irmão diz, este gosta de falar, right? So,
you know, he did say that.
You know, I should começar lá. Oh no, o irmão gosta de falar. So, you know, once I get going, you know.
It was amazing. Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you, and keep doing what you're doing. And don't forget, viva a gente e não a gente como a gente.
Viva.
Keep it up.
Obrigado.
See you, everybody. Thanks for coming on, and I'll see you next time. Até já.